Okay, let's continue on with the review. The circumference of a circle can be found using the formula c equals 2 pi r, where r is the radius. Find the circumference of a circle with a radius of 7.5 meters and use 3.14 for pi. Okay, so I'm going to use c is equal to 2 pi r. So I'm just going to find c is equal to 2, and they've given me a value for pi, 3.14, and they've given me a value for the radius. And then it's just a plug and chug. It doesn't say anything about rounding, nothing, so just go to town. So 2 times 3.14 times 7.5 tells me that my circumference is 47.1, and that's in meters. Okay, the volume of a rectangular prism, and oops, it gives me the formula here, is volume equals length times width times height. Okay, so I'm going to find the volume of the prism, the length is given to me, the width is given to me, and the height is given to me. So if I know volume is equal to length times width times height, then the volume is equal to the length, which is 12.5, times the width, which is 8.5, times the height, which is 21.2, and once again, I let my calculator do the rest. So 12.5 times 8.5 times 21.2, and it tells me that the volume is 2252.5, and that's in inches, and volume is cubic. Okay, if I want to perform each operation, if I am adding, I just combine like terms. Subtract, add the opposite of second polynomial. Okay, so here we've got addition. So that means I can just combine like terms. So I'm going to find my like terms. That means I can just drop the parentheses. So I have 5a to the fourth and negative 4a to the fourth, which gives me negative a to the fourth. I'm sorry, that's positive. Excuse me. I have negative 6a to the third, and I don't have anything I can add to that. Then I have a negative 12a and a negative 3a, which gives me negative 15a. And finally I have a 5 and a negative 7, which gives me negative 2. And there's my answer. Okay, so if I want to add this polynomial and subtract this one, then I'm going to change this to adding the opposite of each term. So that's negative 12x to the fifth, negative becomes a positive 5x to the second, positive becomes a negative 6x. Now I'm done with this. So now I'm going to do exactly what I did on the previous problem. So I'm going to start with 17x to the fifth, and I have a negative 12x to the fifth, so that gives me 5x to the fifth. I have negative 12x to the third, and that's all I've got there. I have 5x to the second plus 5x to the second, which gives me 10x to the second. And lastly, I have 4x minus 6x, which gives me a negative 2x. Okay, now on the key it says negative, but I'll fix that. On 16 it should be positive. Okay, this is exactly the same as this one. It's just I have to be super duper careful about finding my like terms. Okay, since it's adding, I can just combine like terms. So if I've got an a to the second b, that's an ab to the second, no exponents here. So a to the second b, 2 plus negative 8 gives me negative 6, a to the second b. All right, then I've got a b to the ab to the second. So here's an ab to the second. So 3 minus 1 gives me 2 ab to the second. I've got an ab and I've got an ab. So negative 5 plus 2 gives me negative 3ab. And then lastly, I have minus 6b. All right, this is just like the one above. I'm going to turn subtraction into adding the opposite of each of these terms. So the negative becomes a positive 2p to the third, q to the second. Negative becomes positive 3, p to the second q. Positive becomes negative 5pq. Negative becomes positive q to the second. So I'm done with that now. Okay, so let's start with a p to the third, q to the second. Here we go. So 5 plus 2 gives me 7, p to the third, q to the second. P to the second q, p to the second q. Negative 7 plus 3 gives me negative 4, p to the second q. A pq, another pq, 4 minus 5 gives me negative 1 pq. And then lastly, I've got a q to the second all by itself. Okay. All right, if I have a monomial times a polynomial, if I have a mono times a poly, that just means distribute. So I'm going to multiply each term by what's outside. Now for this first one, I'm going to go ahead and show you exactly what we're doing here. So this becomes 2x times 3x to the third plus 2x times 5x to the second plus 2x times negative 7x plus 2x times negative 8. And I'm encroaching on my space over here. All right, so that gives me 2 times 3 is 6. 1 plus 3, there are 4 x's now. 2 times 5 is 10. X to the first times x to the second is x to the third. 2 times negative 7 is negative 14. X times x is x to the second. 2 times negative 8 is negative 16. And I still have an x. Okay, I'm going to do exactly the same thing here. So this gives me 3 times -2, which is -6. 2 a's here, 2 a's here, so I have 4 a's. 3 times 3 gives me a +9. A to the second times a gives me a to the third. 3 times -5 is -15, and I still have an a to the second. Okay, now if I have multivariables, it's the same process. I just have to be really careful about how I write this. So 7a times 2a gives me 14a to the second. 7 times 3 gives me a +21. A times b is ab. Here, and so I'll go ahead and do this one out as well. This gives me 3mn times 2mn plus 3mn times -9m plus 3mn times 12n. Okay, so 2 times 3 gives me 6. M times m is m to the second. N times n is n to the second. 3 times -9 is -27. M times m is m to the second. And I still have to include my n. 3 times 12 gives me 36. I have a single m, and n times n is n to the second. Okay, if these are all multiplying on on the next page. So 23 through 30 are all multiplying. And there are a couple of ways that you can do this. You can use the area model, you can distribute, you can use the pattern, and it doesn't make any difference what you do. Okay, so I'll kind of do one of each. So I'm going to use the double distribution on here. I have to multiply everything here by everything here. So I'm going to start out multiplying x times x plus 8 minus 5 times x plus 8. When I distribute here, I get x squared plus 8x minus 5x minus 40. And then I have like terms here that I can combine. So that's going to give me x squared plus 3x minus 40. Okay. On this one, I think I'll just use the area model just because, again, to kind of refresh you on different ways of doing it. That means I'm going to make a rectangle. And since it's a binomial times a binomial, so I'll have 2a minus 9 times 3a plus 4. So 2a times 2a gives me 6a to the second. 2 times 4 gives me a positive 8a. 3 times -9 is -27a. And -9 times 4 is -36. So now I can combine these. These are my like terms. -27 plus 8 is -19a. So my answer becomes 6a to the second minus 19a minus 36. If you have multiple variables, it's still exactly the same thing. So this one I'll just go ahead and double distribute. So I'm going to multiply x times 3x, which is 3x squared, x times 4y, which is 4xy, negative 2y times 3x is negative 6xy, and negative 2y times 4y is negative 8y to the second. Again, I have like terms here that I can combine. So I get 3x to the second minus 2xy minus 8y to the second. Sorry, I must have hit the brightness button without knowing about it. So let's focus again. Let's see what else I've screwed up on. Okay. All right, now the key to this one, the key to success on if I have a minus 3b to the second, this means a minus 3b times a minus 3b. That's the key to remembering what that is. And then you can use any method you want. You can use the pattern. You can use the area model. You can distribute. However you want to do it is absolutely fine. I'm going to use, well, let's just multiply it out. Okay. So if I do this, and I'll do this one with the area model. It doesn't make any difference. But I have a minus 3b, a minus 3b. A times a is a squared. A times negative 3b is negative 3ab. Now I always put my variables in alphabetical order because it's easier to spot like terms. A times negative 3b is negative 3ab. Negative 3 times negative 3 is 9, b to the second. These terms are identical, but when I add them together, I get negative 6ab. So my final answer is a squared minus 6ab plus 9b squared. Now, if you had recognized it as the pattern, you could have gone simply from here down to here with the first term squared. Since it's minus 2 times the first term times the second term plus the second term squared, which gives you exactly the same thing. Okay, if I have 3p minus 5 and 3p plus 5, this is a difference of squares. The first terms are identical, the last terms are identical. So if you use the pattern, this becomes the first term squared minus the last term squared, which gives us 9p squared minus 25. If you don't want to do that, you can absolutely do it a different way. 3p plus 5, 3p minus 5, 9p squared minus 15p plus 15p minus 25. When I combine these, anything plus its opposite is 0, so I'm left with 9p squared minus 25. Okay, I think this is a good place to switch videos. It's right about 20 minutes.